As we transition into 2022, we put 2021 in our rearview mirror and we keep going ahead. But before we transition into the new year, let's finish this with episode 7 of MEC Roundup. And we're going to be joined by two different people, one being a coach in men's basketball and another being a women's basketball player as well. But first, we're going to talk with Coach Stephen Dye of Alderson Broaddus. They're 6-3 on the season, 3-3 in conference play. And let's welcome him in to the MEC Roundup, episode 7. And Coach, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me. Looking forward to it.
So, Coach, before we started talking, the two of us sort of briefly touched on how COVID is starting to impact a lot of different games, regardless if it's at the Division I level, 2, 3 NAIA level. It seems like it's starting to come back into life, and it's starting to put a lot of pauses and postponements as well on certain programs and games. But when you look at this from a coach, what goes through your head seeing all these programs around Alderson Broaddus start to go down one by one?
Well, it's just, it's a scary time right now. And it's, everybody's just kind of breathing heavy at all times. We're just kind of, holding our breath and we all want to play, we want to play, but we also, I can't speak for every coach, but, I feel pretty strong that we all want to keep our guys safe, and so, COVID's just, it's such a lot of people see it differently, but it's such a hard thing with us coaches just trying to do the best we can to coach our teams, keep them safe. The kids want to play, they absolutely just want to play, but they understand we have to follow policy and procedures. And, I think for the most part, our kids are doing a really good job of keeping themselves safe, washing hands, wearing masks when they need to wear masks. So it's something we have to deal with. It's not going away anytime soon, sadly and unfortunately. The cases are rising right now, but we just have to, wake up each morning, do the best we can, pray that everyone's safe, and put our, faith in God that everybody's going to be okay.
When you talk to your players, you mentioned how they want to play, but do you just get a different sense that they're kind of feeling like it may happen at some point, but at that point, they're not sure when it's going to happen, or are they just taking it day by day?
Well, our guys, when we get tested, I think everybody's taking it day by day. I think we've been dealing with this for some time now, going on 2 years. And, we prepare as if we're going to play every single day. If we get, we've had 2 games postponed. If that happens, you can see the disappointment already in our guys' faces. You see it right away. But I think, our guys have figured out how to adjust. We see it as, we talk about adversity a lot in our program, how you get through it as a team and together. And, our guys really like each other this year. And I think that's, it's a good thing for us, obviously, when we're not able to play, sometimes when we can't practice, our guys are able to, communicate that with each other and be supportive and get through it together. So it's not easy, but, I gotta say our guys are doing a very good job of that this year.
You mentioned something earlier in that statement, and that is that we're going on 2 years of this pandemic. Does it feel like 2 years? I mean, I know from a coach's standpoint, it's a lot different than a normal person like myself, just because you deal with a lot of more day-to-day activities and you have a lot of other lives at stake with this. Has it felt like 2 years for you?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's it's been a really tough 2 years. I mean, this is obviously, you never know day to day, if you're going to get a phone call and you're shut down, or you have a case in your program and you're going to have to quarantine, and it's, so that's not, coaches, we like plans, we like schedules, we like to, see progress in certain ways typically. And obviously we have to be prepared for adjustments and stuff like that as well. But COVID, there's no preparation for COVID. You just have to kind of deal with it. Pray it doesn't affect your program, and kind of take it as it goes. And again, coaches across the country doing a great job of this. It's part of what we're having to deal with now. And it's not going to go away anytime soon. I hope and pray it does really soon. But we just going to have to learn a way to get through this.
All right, enough about this. Enough about the bad stuff. Let's talk some hoops. Okay, that's why I had you on. I didn't have you on here to talk COVID the whole time. I want to talk some basketball. You guys are off to a great start through 10 games, winning 6 of your first 10. Talk to me about this. What area have you seen your team grow the most in this first half of the season?
Surprisingly enough, it's not obviously as a coach we want perfection, but I think our defense is really starting to get better. We're guarding a 3-point line much better than we have in the past. We're controlling the drive, a lot better as well. So I'm really, I'm pleased with where we're at now, and I think we still have a lot of room for improvement, obviously. But I think that's helping us. Right now we're 6-4, and I do feel, we probably could have been 8-2 right now if we really would, sit down and did a few things correctly. A couple 1-point losses, but it's our defense is getting better, and I'm very proud of how our guys are really focused on it. Past 2 years, our guys have really struggled to sit down and guard and defend, and so I'm pleased with that. We are struggling though to finish the defensive stop with the rebound. That's one area where our programs got to get better. We just do not rebound the basketball very well right now.
Okay, so we're talking about defense, and when you talk about defense, there always seems to be that guy that's the anchor or the catalyst for that defense. When you look at this group of guys you have, who's been that anchor for you all on the defensive end?
Well, for us, it's a freshman, and he's been coming off the bench most of the year. He started a couple games, but Jalen Knott for us is he's a energy and momentum guy. He's coming in, he's taking, I want to say it's almost 2 charges per game, and taking the charge is a huge momentum swing. And he just seems to be able to put himself in the right position at big moments and big times when we need to stop and get a couple charges, and that's huge. And so I'd say right now he's the defensive catalyst. And secondly, I would just have to say John Grayson. John's 6'5". He's doing his COVID year right now, and he can guard multiple positions. He's really long. He can guard a quicker guard if we have to switch, or he can guard a bigger post. And he's typically guarding other teams' best players. Those 2 guys, I would say are our anchors when it comes to our defensive philosophies.
Okay, so we talked about the first half of the season. Now let's sort of look in the future. Let's look in the future for 2022. And, obviously you want to grow in every aspect of the game of basketball, especially with a weird year like we're about ready to go through in the second half of the season. But when you look at this upcoming half of the season, the back end of it, I should say, what needs to happen for you all to, one, continue this progress, but 2, secure a top seed in the conference tournament?
Well, I think it's for us, it's got to be, how we play on the floor as far as maturity wise. We've got to understand that every possession is valuable and critical in a college basketball game. And I feel right now, and we've talked about this a lot amongst our program, is, we take too many plays off. You can't afford to do that versus anybody in this conference, in this league. Teams are too good. So we we take plays off, and we don't understand that those plays can really come back and hurt you. I think for us, that goes along with rebounding the basketball. Looking forward, if we don't start rebounding basketball at a better rate than we're doing now, it's going to be hard for us to beat any, the better teams in this league. So that looking forward, looking to the future is huge for us. Rebounding every possession is mattering. And for us, it's shockingly enough, we struggle with free throws right now. We're shooting a very poor percentage. And if you can't, when you're getting to the foul line, if you can't finish that play with 1 or 2 free throws, you're not going to have a chance to win. So I've got to see much more improvement in our free throw shooting. Our offense is looking okay right now. I'd like to see some improvement in that, but our percentages are strong. But I think that'll obviously increase as we get on throughout the course of the season.
You mentioned a word that I think a lot of coaches talk about, and I love the word because you get to start to see who steps up amongst the team, and that's maturity. When you look at a team that needs to grow maturity-wise, I know that means they can go down a lot of different avenues, but as a coach with this group of guys, how do you guys go about improving the maturity level on the team?
I think it's constant communication. It's seeing things out, pointing things out. It's really for us. We talk about how we, preparation. if you're a mature individual, you really prepare, on your own game, but for the opponent teams as well. And it's how you handle yourself in practice. The day before a game, are you coming in? Are you locked in, focused? And if you're a leader or a captain, how are you making sure that your teammates are locked in and focused? And we've struggled with that. Our maturity level to begin the season, I didn't feel was very good. But I do feel constant communication, constant meetings about it. Obviously reading, as coaches, we read a lot of books, and we try and take bits and pieces from other coaches that we read about and stuff. So I think we show our guys a lot of stuff as far as team building that we believe helps show them and helps them understand what maturity really is. And I feel, I don't like to have a whole lot of meetings, but I do feel guys are much more visual learners nowadays. So we try and show things, whether it be examples from movie clips or YouTube videos or just anything we can find that really shows these guys, what we're trying to do. And our guys tend to like, and they really adjust well with those.
Okay, so let's talk about some of those guys, but let's start here before we start talking about statistics. And just continuing on this line of maturity, there has to be a leader in that for the guys to sort of learn off of and just grow off of as well. Who's been that guy that's really stepped up to the mantle and just said, "Hey, I'm going to be the leader of this team, and I'm going to try and help you all as much as possible and just show you guys the right things"? Who's been that guy for you all?
Well, the most vocal guy we have right now, is John Grayson. He does a very good job. I think he shows up ready to go every day. He talks a lot, plays hard, but he's verbal, and the guys really respect John. Um, Jalen Collins, is a first year guy for us. He is a junior transfer. He's got kind of an older soul about him, and I think guys really respect him. He stepped up, and he's starting to do more of it. And KJ Walker, KJ is not a guy that really likes to talk a whole lot, but he's a really good player. The guys respect, his capabilities, and when he does say something, it's important. All right, and guys really listen. And he and I've talked. I'd like to get him to talk much more, and communicate much better. And he's working at it. It's not his true nature. But he's a great kid, and he's making us better every single day. So if he eventually figures out that we want him to communicate much more, he'll I think we'll really start to see our team get that much better.
Okay, stay on the lines of KJ, because KJ is having a great year, averaging 15 points a game, right in the top 20 in scoring in the Mountain East Conference. When you talk about KJ, what immediately comes to mind for you?
Be honest with you, unselfish. He's averaging 15, but I would like to see him score more. I'd like to see him. He passes the ball up a lot. He takes, he doesn't take bad shots. I think if he really wanted to, he could take 5 or 6 more shots a game. But he's unselfish because he knows he wants to get his teammates involved. So that to me is something special about KJ. There's been some games. Obviously, he took control of the Glenville State game. Ended up having 38 and 39, and we needed every single one of them. But he put the team on his back, and I'd like to see that more from him. But he's a special player, and if we could ever get him to communicate just a little bit better, he would be very, very special.
And then lastly, again, going back to this theme of we're transitioning into the new year of 2022, and it's the second half of the season. But from a personnel standpoint, is there an individual that you expect and you want to make the biggest leap in his game and just be a new guy that people are going to start talking about within your core group of guys?
For us, it's been tough for us. We've suffered several injuries. We've got another 2 guys out now. We've had ACLs, broken hands, dislocated ankles. I think right now there's no one guy. It's a team effort right now. We're trying to get better every single day. And be consistent at that. So there's a few young guys that I think can really step up for us eventually. They're getting better. But right now I can't really pick out any one guy that we're hoping that just is that guy in the future. That's kind of when we haven't seen that yet.
Well, Coach, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Best of luck the rest of the way this season, and I hope everybody stays safe within the Alderson Broadus men's basketball program.
Appreciate that, man. Thank you.
Absolutely. That was Coach Stephen Dye from Alderson Broadus. And up next, we will talk with Fairmont State's very own Alyssa D'Angelo, and we'll talk about her season and also staying along the theme of COVID within the Mountain East Conference as we continue to progress throughout the back half of the season. You won't want to miss it here on MEC Roundup. Welcome back into episode 7 of MEC Roundup. We just spoke with Coach Stephen Dye from Alderson Broadus, but now let's flip the script and let's go to the women's side of the Mountain East Conference. And we're pleased to be joined by Fairmont State's very own and leading scorer, Alyssa D'Angelo. Alyssa, welcome to the program.
Hi, I'm happy to be here.
Did you have a good holiday weekend?
Yes, I did. It was great to get to see my family and everything.
Now, for people that don't know, where is home for you?
I'm from Jefferson Hills, Pennsylvania. It's about 15 minutes south of Pittsburgh, so not too far from Fairmont.
So I got to ask, being out of state, how did you first hear about Fairmont State?
Well, actually, my high school team used to go to WVU for their team camps, and while I was there, is when I first heard about Fairmont, and that's actually where they started to recruit me. So that's how that started for me.
So what about them? What about the program attracted you the most, which ultimately led to you becoming a Falcon?
Basketball wise, Coach Steph and Coach Mickey are very young. They both played Division II basketball, so they both understand what it's like to be where we are. And I really liked what they were trying to do with the program. I like the style that they play. And then another big selling point for me was I wanted to do nursing, and I could do that here.
So what about it that they're trying to, change the program or flip the program around? What about that, are you starting to see now as you continue on your collegiate career?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, even from last year, we were young. We were still trying to learn their system. We run a very fast-paced game, a very aggressive defense. So we can see this year that it's paying off for us. Our record's pretty good so far. We're beating teams that we struggled with last year. So you can definitely see that there's a difference.
Yeah, you guys are 7-4 and overall, 5-1 in conference. But when you look back at the first 11 games for you all in the year 2021, what do you think is the biggest takeaway from you on how the team performed in that first half of the season?
The biggest takeaway for me is how hard we've been working, honestly. We've obviously been dealing with COVID for a long time now. We've had some up and downs, and we're still young. We've lost some games that we feel like we should have won, and we come in the next day, we work hard, we get back at it, and we win the next one.
Okay, so now let's sort of make like a New Year's resolution almost for a team. If you were to tell me that your New Year's resolution for the women's basketball team at Fairmont State, what would you say it would be?
Our New Year's resolution. I'd have to say 100% focus at all times. Sometimes we tend to have lapses in defense because we're not focused. And if we could really focus all the time, that's when we play our best games.
So let's talk about you. You're a sophomore this season, and you're the leading scorer, obviously, for the Falcons. Looking at the upperclassmen, who's sort of been like an older sister for you so far? Who's been that person that's sort of taken you under their wing, showed you the ropes, showed you around campus, and just sort of created you into who you are today?
So basketball wise, actually Sierra Kochman last year, she stayed with me after practice to get shots up. We were together a lot. She's helped me a lot to get into college basketball because it's very different. So definitely her. She's helped me a ton.
Well, she is a Pennsylvania native, so I guess you Pennsylvania people have to stick together in certain things.
Yeah.
Okay, so cool. So looking at, so let's do this. We took a team aspect, but now let's flip it over to an individual level, sort of put a spotlight on you, and let's assess your game in the first half of the season. What were you pleased with, and what do you see yourself need to improve on in 2022?
So the first half of the season, I do really well driving to the hoop. That's been kind of what I've known for since I've got here. And I think going into 2022, I want my outside shot to be better. I am way better than I was last year, but I'm still not as consistent as where I'd like to be.
What do you think that would take for you to get that percentage up? Is that just practice reps, in-game reps? 'Cause I know people approach it differently, but for you, how do you approach getting better at that aspect?
So I'm gonna say it's more in game. I shoot very well in practice. I say after practice we all shoot together. I just think it's in game and getting more comfortable and getting that confidence back.
Okay, so let's talk about playing in the Mountain East Conference. Again, you're a sophomore, getting a lot of playing time in a conference that, quite frankly, flies under the radar in Division II basketball. Looking at it now, what do you think is the biggest strength that the Mountain East Conference possesses?
I think the biggest strength is that's a tough one. Depends on what team you look at, but for a lot of the teams, how fast we play is very different. We've played some PSAC teams out of conference, and a few of the ones we played have played much slower than us. And almost every single one of our in-conference games is you're running up and down the floor all the time. So that's definitely one of the strengths in the conference.
Let's talk about your relationship with the coaching staff, and let's start with Coach Anderson. How much of a help has she been in these first few years for you down in Fairmont?
Oh, she's been a huge help. I mean, it's my academic schedule with basketball is super hard to work with. She's always willing to work with me. She knows how to handle me. I coming in last year, I lacked some confidence, and she really gave that to me when I needed it.
Was there something specifically that she said, and she's just like, okay, you're young and everything else, but what was it that just really stuck out to you that really helped you boost your confidence and gain that confidence last season?
One game in particular last season, we were playing Concord and we were down by a decent amount. I didn't play much the first half, I'm a freshman. And when I went in the game, I made some buckets. And at the end, she ran a play for me when we needed to score. And all she said was, "Your team needs you and I believe in you." So just knowing that she had that belief in me really helped.
It almost sounds like you ran through a brick wall almost.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying hypothetically, nothing literal, but hypothetically. But okay. So when you look at this upcoming, well, the second half of the season, what do you think takes for you all, other than being focused? But what do you think is something else on the court or off the court that you guys have to achieve to get a high seed in the conference tournament and to be able to make the NCAA tournament?
I think a big thing for us is we need to, number one, keep pushing the ball. We play much better when we're not in half court sets, and we just need to play together. Sometimes when we get down in games, we tend to not play together, where everyone's guilty of that. Everyone wants to be the hero. And but we're much better when we all play as one and when everyone's scoring, when we have 4 or 5 girls in double digits, that's when we play our best games.
And then lastly, when you look at being in Fairmont, do you feel like you're a West Virginian now? I mean, you've been here for a few years. Do you feel like a West Virginian?
I mean, yeah, I love it here. A lot of my team is from West Virginia. Uh, I'm here almost year round. It definitely does feel like home.
So you guys have 7 players from the state of West Virginia. Have you been to your teammates? Well, have you been to your different teammates' hometowns yet?
Yeah, a few of them. One of my teammates is from Clarksburg. We've been there, and then a few of our teammates are from Charleston, and we've also been there. So,
Seems like you're just getting a whole tour of West Virginia almost.
yeah, definitely.
Well, Alyssa, thank you for your time. I appreciate you joining me, and best luck the rest of the way in the year 2022. And we look forward to seeing what you guys do this season.
Thank you.
And that will conclude episode 7 of MEC Roundup with our 2 guests, Coach Stephen Dye of Alderson Broadus and sophomore Alyssa D'Angelo from Fairmont State. That will do it for me, Taylor Kennedy. You can follow me on Twitter at Taylor_Kennedy7. And you can get all the latest about the podcast as well. Also, go on our website at mountaineast.org where you can find all the previous episodes as well. Thank you all for listening and stay safe.